you are watching episode 2 of the Sound Collective series. Okay, so this episode is all about social media. It's probably more important now than ever to be on it and to be working really hard on your branding and posting and interactions with other people. So this one's going to be specifically aimed towards Instagram. That's where I do most of my work. I literally don't stop fidgeting. So this is how to build a brand successfully, gain a better following, and to keep people following you. I'm going to be talking about a few steps that you can go through to improve upon it during this time, and a few ideas of what you can do so that when you come out you've got a better standing. So the first step to any Instagram page these days is to decide upon a theme. Now I'm not talking about the theme of having all of your colours the same and your tones the same in all of your photos and using the same filter, which most people do, which is beautiful, but that's not necessarily necessary as a musician. Necessarily necessary. That's quite easy to say actually. There you go. Yeah, so you need to have a theme, but by theme I mean choose upon something that makes your Instagram unique to everyone else. So for example, I have the New Music Monday. I have my own radio show, so every Monday I talk about brand new releases that have come out by artists that I like, normally unknown, but then a few big ones in there as well. And then obviously that advertises my show on the following Tuesday, because I also advertise which of the New Music Monday people get played. I've done the graphics for that and I do it every week, so that's quite a standout thing to be doing, especially if you're media based. I have got a few ideas of what you can do in terms of the music side of things. So if you're a musician, you could think about doing a 30-second or 5-minute tutorial every Friday on like really hard riffs that you've learned and you know how to do, or you could do a new cover every week, but just make sure that whatever you do, post it on the same day every week, because that draws people to your profile because they know what's happening and they know when it's happening. So that's a really good thing to do. It's normally quite nice to have the graphics the same, or to have the picture of the video the same on your feed so that people can just go straight to it if that's what they want to see. They don't have to spend ages looking through all of your posts to find it, because they can see it really easily. It also brings your feed together really well, makes it more appealing to new followers. So that's step 1. So step 2 would be to follow people who do really similar things to you and to interact with them as much as possible. So the best thing you can do is comment on their posts and like their posts, because then their followers will see you and then they'll see that you do something very similar, and because they're following them, they'll want to follow you because you're on the same wavelength. And if your profile looks better than theirs, then they're going to want to see more of what you're up to. If you really want followers, what you can do is you can look at people's profiles who are really similar to yours, and you can go through their followers and follow all of them and see who follows you back. The issue is you'll follow thousands of people who might not follow you, but it is a really good quick way of getting your followers up if that's what's most important. But to be honest, I would focus on making your brand sustainable and looking great before you start working on all of the followers stuff, because nobody's going to keep following you if it looks awful. Another great way for people to find your profile is to use keywords in your profile. So you'll often see when you follow people that it will say recommended for you underneath. So they are people who either have mutual followers to you, so people who are following you are following them, or you've got very similar keywords in your bio. So I make sure that I include radio, music, songwriting and Topshop in my bio, because then that links me to everyone else who's got those in their bio. So if you're a bassist, then things like bass, musician, session player or songwriter, or whatever you do, or featuring your band in your bio as well. You could say like part of this band, or founder of this band, or bassist for this band. That's a really good way of doing it, because then that links your profile to the band's profile. If you've got more followers on one of those pages, you can very easily bring them over to the other page as well. So your Instagram should be a business account. That's one of the first things you should be doing. So you can choose what section you are. You can either be a musician or an artist or a singer or a songwriter or media or whatever it is that you decide that you are. Having a business account is really helpful because you can see what posts gained the most interactions, what people liked the most. You can see which of your posts are better, that your followers enjoy more. So for example, with me, I tend to get more likes on fashion posts as opposed to music posts, but I know that that does well, so I do that on my Instagram. That is what most of my following like to see, and then I just bring other bits to tie into it to make it more music orientated. So it's a really good way of seeing what your followers are actually enjoying and looking at on your page. It also tells you when your followers are due to be online on certain days and what times. I never post anything without checking what time most of my followers will be online. It's not a necessary thing to do, you don't have to do it, but it's really useful because it means that more people see it. Instagram stories, oh my gosh, you get so many more people viewing your Instagram stories than you ever will on your Instagram feed if you've posted something. You've probably all heard about the dodgy Instagram algorithm. You can do things to help it, to make your posts seen as much as possible, but there's not a lot you can do to change it. So use your stories as often as you can. Post just things about your day. You know, these days people don't just want to see you play the guitar, they want to see what kind of coffee you have in the morning. I know loads of people go, I don't want to know what you had for breakfast, but you know what most people do, okay? I like seeing how so-and-so likes their coffee. I like seeing what so-and-so have for breakfast because it gives me ideas of what I have for breakfast. I like seeing people post about making mistakes or something that they've done is really funny because it makes them human, it makes you more personal, it makes people like you more. So don't just post about your job or your music, you need to post about your life in order to get followers. Now, if you've got a dedicated band page, I would keep that as the band, but post things not necessarily of your music but things that you all do together. So if you're rehearsing or if you all live together and you're playing beer pong, you want to post that kind of stuff because that's what people like to see, and you can post more things just about you on your individual pages. You need to be involving your personal lives in this. You know, it's what people want, it's what makes people like you, it's what makes people follow you. And with Instagram stories, obviously because more people see your Instagram stories than your posts, share your post to your Instagram story. So if you don't know how to do that, when you post something, there should be a little, it looks like the Facebook location symbol, it's like a little arrow. You can do that and click add post to story, make it look nice, and then people will see that you've posted something on your story. I tend to hide it with like a new post GIF. It kind of hides the actual post so people still click on it, but it makes people aware that you have posted something new. And then again with Instagram Business and Insights, you can see who's clicked on that post, so who's actually interacting with your stories. On your posts, you should be using hashtags. Knowing which hashtags to use can actually be really difficult because you want to use ones that have quite a lot of posts that quite a lot of people will look through, but they also need to be relevant, and you also want to have smaller ones because if you create hashtags that are more specific to you, it can be a really good thing for your brand. So you can do this really easy. You can just Google top hashtags of March 2020 and it will give you a list of all of the top hashtags. Copy and paste it. You can only use 30 per post. Copy and paste it, get rid of all the ones that aren't relevant and put in a few ones that you believe are relevant. So like guitarist, UK music, UK guitarist, unsigned artist, new artist, you know, you can think about all of those yourselves. It's really not that difficult. Also have a look at some hashtags, have a look at what similar people to you are using for their hashtags. You can just take it just straight from then. I'm more than happy if you want to go to my profile and use my hashtags if you're doing something similar. I don't care. Instagram's for everyone, go for it. Hashtags done, stories done. And then following on from stories, you should be using your Instagram highlights. So these are when you open somebody's profile, you've got posts and you've got tiny little round buttons, normally with photos on and captions. So they are your Instagram highlights. People like to look at those again to see more of who you are, more of your personal life. It's best to have more highlights and less of them and group it into different categories. So your Instagram stories you could section into whatever instrument it is, and then band, so you can put in your band rehearsal story, highlights and things like that, and then you can have a gigs highlight for all of the gigs you've played or gigs that you've been to and you've filmed parts of, and then you can do other things like personal things like nights out, uni, family, home, you know, there are so many things that you can do with that. Just have it all separate, and then people can pick and choose what bits of your life that they're interested in. So for the people that just want to see you do music, they can watch those, and for the people that want to know more about you, they can watch the other ones. You should be using your highlights. It's a really great way to show who you are, and again, you're gonna get way more followers by doing that. Another really good way of making sure that you increase and keep your following is to do interactive things. So do a lot of polls on your story, do a lot of questions on your story. You will be surprised how many people take part in it, especially if they like you. Sharing other people's posts to your story is also really good. It gives them an insight to what kind of things you like, because if you've done everything correctly, they'll see what you are like, but then if you share things to your story from other people, then they'll see what you like doing and looking at. So that's another really great way for people to get to know you. Do interactive things, keep them entertained, keep them wanting to come back to your profile. Share other musicians' posts as well. The chances are, if you mention them in your story, they'll repost it to their story, and this is really cheeky, but then all of their followers will see your post. You know, if they've got like 10k followers, then that's great, because all of those people are going to be looking at your story, and then if they're interested in it, they might click on it, look at your profile and follow you. It's great exposure, and also it's just common courtesy to share people's posts, especially if it's about new music, because you want to spread it around. They're your friends, you want to support them, you know. Musicians support musicians at the end of the day. Keep doing it. Share everyone's music posts or anything that you think is funny or relevant. This is a little algorithm hack to kind of cheat it a little bit to finish off with. We'll see. The more people you interact with, the more you'll see their posts. So if there's a few people that you always like their photos, you always look at their stories, they're going to come up first in your Instagram feed and normally on your stories bar. It works the other way around. The more people that interact with you, the more people see your posts. It's actually a really good way to interact with them, because then that gets them to interact with you, and it just keeps going, vice versa, until you're always quite near the top of people's feeds, people's story feeds, people's algorithms. That's a little hack there for you. IGTV is becoming a really good thing now. It allows you to post longer videos on your story. On your feed. I'm getting all confused. IGTV allows you to put longer videos on your feed without having to split them into smaller clips. You can post up to at least 20 minutes of IGTV. So that's really good. If you've got a gig that you filmed and you want to put it on there, put it on there. IGTV is becoming a really big thing. Use it as much as you can. So that's my top tips on Instagram for the moment. It changes weekly, so keep up to date. I mean, you can find most of this stuff just on Google as well. If you want more information, or if you do want more information, message me on Instagram or comment in the section below. We can discuss things further, cover anything that you feel like hasn't been covered, or answer any questions that you've got. So that's it for today. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and we'll see you soon.